Hi everyone, welcome to my channel, Knitting for Baby. Thank you for watching and thank you for subscribing. In today's tutorial, I'm going to show you how to make this adult tam style hat. Every year I make my mother a hat. This year I decided to make her one using the seed stitch. This stitch here is very easy. You can also make this hat a bit longer so that it drapes further down. This here is exactly 8 inches, so from here to here is about 8 inches. So you can do that as well. You can make it a bit longer. To make this hat, we're going to make it in the round so that there are no seams to sew at the end. We're going to need these 16-inch circular knitting needles. You can certainly use double pointed needles as well. This one here is a US 9 or a 5.5 millimeter. Okay, so I hope you like it, and without further say, let's get started, and thank you for watching. Okay, to begin, I'll be using these 5.5 millimeter circular knitting needles. We're also going to need a crochet hook to cast on our stitches. This is a 5.5 millimeter crochet hook, and I'm using this bulky number 5 yarn. Okay, so to begin, I have a loop here, and I'm going to put my knitting needle on top of the yarn. I have a tutorial on how to do this, so I will leave the link down here in the information box if you want to watch it a bit slower. Okay, so now that the needle is on top of the yarn, we're going to grab a loop and then put the yarn under. Grab a loop, yarn under, grab a loop, yarn under. You're going to continue like this until you have a total of 71 stitches on this knitting needle. At the end, I will come back and show you how we're going to make that last stitch so that in total we have 72 stitches on our knitting needle. Okay, I have a total of 71 stitches on my knitting needle, and to make your last stitch so that in total we have 72, we're going to pull this loop that we have on our hook, take your hook off, and this loop that we have here, we're going to put it over our knitting needle like this. And now we have 72 stitches on our knitting needle, and this is what it looks like. So now with the working yarn on the right hand and this other end on your left hand, this is where we began our stitches. We're going to knit 2, purl 2, knit 2, purl 2. This is the ribbing that we're going to do for our hat, and we're going to do a total of 10 rows. So to knit the first one, we're going to insert our needle like this, and we're going to wrap the yarn like this. Once we do this, we're going to be joined and we can begin working in a circle. This is one of the easiest way to join so that we can work in a circle. There are other ways, but I prefer this method because it's very easy. And now we're joined in a circle. Okay, so now we've already done the first stitch knitwise, so we're going to knit the second as well, like this. Now the next two we're going to purl, so bring your yarn to the front, insert your needle, and wrap the yarn and pull through. There's one. Same thing for the next. That's 2. The next 2 we're going to knit. So the first one, knit. The next one, knit. And push your stitches down. And then these on this side, just bring them to the front like this. Push them to the front. Okay, so the next 2 we're going to purl. So bring your yarn to the front and purl. 1, purl, 2. The next 2 we're going to knit. Knit 1, knit 2. The next 2, purl. Bring your yarn to the front and purl. Okay, this is all we're going to do. We're going to alternate between 2 knits, 2 purls, 2 knits, 2 purls, all the way down to the very end. I will meet you here to show you the second row. Okay, I'm here at the end of the first row. Your last 2 stitches should be purl because the next 2 here on this side which is the beginning, we have the 2 knit. So I'm going to put a stitch marker to mark the first row. Now we're going to do this for a total of 10 rows. So we have 1, and now we're just going to continue in the same way. These 2 that we have here are knit, so we're going to knit. The next 2 are purl, so we're going to purl. Bring the yarn in front and make your purl stitch. Okay, the next 2 we're going to knit. 1, 2. The next 2 purl, and purl, knit, and purl. This is all you're going to do. You're just going to go around doing the same thing until we have a total of 10 rows. So I will meet you at the end of the 10th row to show you what we need to do next. Okay, I'm here at the end of the 8th row. I'm only going to do 8 rows instead. I think 10 rows is going to be a bit too wide. So if you want to make 10 rows, it's fine. You just continue in the same way until you have 10 rows. And the way that you can tell when we have 8 rows is you're going to count these V's. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we have 8 rows. Now for this next row, all we're going to do is we're going to knit every single stitch. Okay, so the first one we're going to knit, the next one we're going to knit. These 2 here are purl, but we're going to knit them like this. So just knit every single stitch, continue like this. I will meet you here. This is where we begin each row. So I think I'm going to put a stitch marker here to mark this row. So I will meet you here to show you what we need to do next. Okay, I'm here at the end of this row where we knit every single stitch. Now we have a total of 72 stitches on our needles. In order to continue with the stitch that we're going to use, which is the seed stitch, we need to have an odd number of stitches. So you can either knit 2 together or you can make 1. I'm going to make 1 instead. Okay, and to make 1, we're going to go into this little bar where I have my stitch marker. Right here, you see this little bar right in the middle. Right there, you're going to insert this needle through there and pick up this loop. Now you're going to put it on this needle like this. And now this stitch that we just put, in order for it to come out correctly like the others, we're going to knit this first one through the back loop. And to knit through the back loop, you insert your needle like this through the back. Not like this through the front because it's not going to come out correctly. So you're going to insert your needle like this and then wrap the yarn and bring it through the front. And here's our knit stitch. Okay, now the rest we're going to do in the same way, but this next one here we're going to purl. The sit stitch consists of knit, purl for the first row. On the second row, whatever stitch you knit, you're going to purl. And whatever stitch you have purl, you're going to knit. So you do the opposite so that you get this really pretty texture like this. Okay, so this next one here, we're going to purl. The next one we're going to knit, purl, knit, purl, knit, purl, knit. Continue like this all around. I will meet you here where I have this stitch marker that marks the beginning to show you what we need to do next. Okay, I'm here at the end of this second row where we knit, purl, all the way to the end. I have one last stitch here. This last stitch that I just did was a purl, so this next one here, which is the last one, here's my stitch marker, I'm going to knit. Now here at the beginning of the row we have this stitch that's a knit. Now we're going to purl. That's why we need odd numbers of stitches. So whatever you did on the first row, you're going to do the opposite on the second row. So you're going to purl. This one here is a purl, so you're going to now knit. When you work in the round like this, it's very easy, so you just continue with the same sequence. So knit, purl, knit, purl, knit, purl. So if your stitch is a purl, and you can tell that it's a purl because you have that little bump in front, you're going to knit. The next one is a knit, so you're going to purl, knit, and purl. Continue like this all around. I will meet you here once again to show you the third row. Okay, I'm here at the end of this second row. My last stitch here is a knit, and I still have one more. So this last one here, we're going to purl. And this one here at the beginning is a purl, so now we're going to knit. So here, basically, you're just going to continue all the way around every single row, doing the same thing. If it's a purl, you're going to knit. If it's a knit, you're going to purl. Okay, so we're going to do this for a total of about 40 rows. I'm not exactly sure how many rows I'm going to do. If I do more or if I do less, I will let you know here how many rows I'm going to do. So continue like this. I will meet you at the end of this row to show you what we need to do next. Okay, I'm at the end of row 29, and it's measuring from here to here. It's measuring about 7 inches, which is about 18 centimeters. Okay, so for the next row, and the way that you know where the row starts, it's right here. You see, this is where we have the stitch marker right there. And if you remember, we have a total of 73 stitches all around because we added one when we began working this stitch. Now we need to reduce that one stitch so that in total we have 72. And in order to do that, here at the beginning of the row, we're going to knit 2 together. So insert your needle like this and then knit. And now we have a total of 72 stitches all around. Now the next thing that you need to do is you need to put stitch markers on every 9th stitch, just like I did here. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then I put a stitch marker. And then I count it again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then I have a stitch marker, and I continue like this all around. And then here I also have 9. Okay, so once you have your stitch markers, these stitch markers is going to make it easier for us to start shaping the crown. And the way that we're going to do this is you're going to follow the same way that the stitch is. So this next one here is a purl, so now we're going to knit. The next one is a knit, so we're going to purl. The next one is a purl, so we're going to knit. The next one is a knit, so we're going to purl. Next one, knit and purl. And right before you get to the stitch marker, we have 2 stitches left. Okay, we have these 2 stitches. So what you're going to do is you're going to knit 2 together like this. So insert your needle like this and knit these 2 together. And now pass your stitch marker to the needle on this side. And now you're going to do the same thing until you have 2 stitches left before the stitch marker. Okay, so this next stitch here is a purl, so we're going to knit. The next one is a knit, so we're going to purl. Next one is a purl, so we're going to knit. Next one is a knit, so we're going to purl, knit, purl, knit. And now here we have the 2 stitches before the stitch marker. Same thing. We're going to knit them together. So like this, and then knit. And then don't forget to put your stitch marker here on this side, and then again you continue with the same sequence. So this one here is a knit, so you're going to purl. Next one is a purl, so knit, purl, knit, purl, knit, purl. And then we have the 2 stitches right before the stitch marker, so these 2 we're going to knit together like this. And now pass your stitch marker to this side and then continue along with the same thing. Okay, continue like this all around. I will meet you here. This is where the beginning of each row starts, so I will meet you here to show you what we need to do next. Okay, I'm here at the beginning of the second row, and we have 8 stitches here. Between this stitch marker and this stitch marker, there should be 8 stitches, and between each one of these stitch markers, same thing, 8 stitches. Okay, so now beginning here, this first stitch that we have here, if you remember, we did a stitch reduction, so this first one here is a knit, so we're going to purl. The next one is also a knit, so we're going to also purl. These 2 stitches are going to be the same at the beginning, so don't worry about it, but once you get to the rest of them, they're going to be fine. So the next one here is a purl, so we're going to knit. The next one is a knit, so we're going to purl, knit, purl, and then we have the 2 stitches before the stitch marker. Same thing, we're going to knit them together and then pass your stitch marker to this side. Okay, and then now here, same thing. This first stitch here is a knit, so we're going to purl. The next one is a purl, so you're going to knit. The next one is a knit, so you're going to purl, purl, knit, purl, knit, and then we have 2 stitches before the stitch marker, you knit them together. So this is all you're going to do all around for this second row. For the third row is the exact same thing. I will meet you at the end of the 4th row. If you notice the way that you can tell how many rows, you look at where we do the decreases. So we have 1, 2. So once we have 4, I'll come back and show you what you need to do next. Okay, we've done a total of 4 rows of reduction, 1, 2, 3, 4. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stitches right before the stitch marker, and it's like that all around. So we have 5, 5, 5, 5 all around, 5 stitches left. We're going to work 2 more rounds, so continue like this. Okay, I just finished making this last 2 rows of reductions, just like I told you to do. So in total, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rows of reductions, and between each stitch marker, we have 3 stitches. So 3, 3, 3 all around. I think we're going to do 1 more row, so I will meet you here at the end of that one last row to show you what we need to do next. Okay, I'm here at the end, and if you can see, we have 2 stitches in between each stitch marker. So I think it's time for us to close this hat. And the way that I close my hats when I knit is similar to how I do my crochet hats. So we have this last loop here. This is my last stitch reduction here, and just so you know, and to make sure that we're all in the same row, we did a total of 7 rows of reduction. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 rows. Okay, so what I'm going to do now here is I'm going to remove this needle here, and this loop here I'm going to pull and tie a knot. Okay, like this. We're going to cut our yarn and leave a long tail, and what I'm going to do now with this needle is I'm going to remove it, and as I do the following, I'm going to be removing my wire. So here I'm going to pass this needle like this, and I'm going to, let's see, go this way around. So this stitch that we have here, I'm going to pass it through this needle like this and remove my wire from this stitch. Okay, and then again, we don't need our stitch markers anymore, so do the same thing with these two stitches and remove your wire. And we're going to do this all around. I'm sure there are other ways to do this, so if you feel more comfortable doing it any other way that you know how to, that's fine. The important thing here is that we don't lose these stitches. I'm here at the end. Now I'm going to turn this over because this here is going to be my right side, so I'm going to turn this like this and pull this string just like this, pull, and now with this loop that we made, we can tie a knot like this. Tie it again. Now you can cut your yarn, turn it over, and here's our finished hat, and that's what the top looks like. There it is. And here's our finished hat, and that's the top. Here's the rest. I'm going to hide my ends here, remove these stitch markers, but basically my hat is done, and I think it turned out very nice, so my mom's going to be very happy with it. Okay, so this has been today's tutorial. I hope you like it. Thank you so much for watching and subscribing to my channel. I really appreciate your support, so I'll see you next time.